Well, farmers are proud of what they do. It's a very noble profession. Raising food, fiber, and fuel makes the person feel good, and it's a great place to raise a family and a great way of life. But if we don't preserve what we do and make the right decisions, there's choices that we can make every day. And some of them are hard to make, some of them aren't, but making the right choices will allow farmers to continue doing whatever we can to enhance the environment, enhance the root zone, make the soil as prolific as it can be, is going to keep farming viable for years to come. We do a number of different things on our farm for conservation. We do no-till planting. We have done that exclusively no-till for 25 years, and our family's been doing that for a lot longer, getting started with it. We use nitrogen inhibitors in our fertilizers. We've just begun using cover crops, and we're experimenting with that too. Last year when we experimented the first time with cover crops, we had barley, wheat, and cereal rye, and we had different strips, and we took a look at how they reacted with what we were after. And this year we've increased our experiment but we're only using barley. We've used it on about half of our acres, and we found that does a great job holding and suppressing weeds, which limits our chemical use. It holds on to the soil on our rolling hills, which is very important, and it gives a great place to plant beans into. Every time I do an experiment, I always like to leave a check strip, so you can't learn if you do all one practice. So we've got some strips, and we always like to weigh the differences in yield. We look at the different costs, what it costs us to do the cover crop, what it costs us not to, if there's difference in herbicide use, and we weigh all that, and that's how we like to make decisions on our farm, looking at the total cost. We have a lot of long slopes, and the soil that we farm here in Southern Illinois is highly erodible. And we've started installing some terraces, your riser pipes with a soil berm behind, to try to get that water off of the surface of the field. Because whenever it gets going down a long slope, it starts taking soil with it, and the nutrients that we've applied, none of which is good for the environment. We want to keep all that on the field. So by installing these practices, it takes a lot of effort, but in the long run, that's what's going to keep the soil here in place for me to farm, and hopefully generations to come, as good as it is today, or better. All the nitrogen we use on our farm, both for winter wheat and corn, gets a nitrogen stabilizer to keep it in the field so it has less chance of losing it to the environment. We want to use as much of it as we can. And we split apply our fertilizer for wheat. The nitrogen for wheat gets split applied in the fall and in the spring. And we always make sure for corn that the fertilizer gets placed in the ground. Nothing's left on top for the environment. We want it in the root zone, right where it needs to be for the corn to take it and go. Well, no-till planting gives us a lot of benefits. It increases the root channels in the soil profile. Our earthworm populations go up dramatically when you stop tillage. Soil organic matter, we've seen over the past 20 or so years, has increased. It's almost double. We have low organic matter to begin with in Southern Illinois, and we've went from about 1% to 2% on organic matter, which is huge for productivity because that gives the earthworms a place to live. That increases the water holding capacity. It increases the nitrogen holding capacity of the soil. So anything we can do to increase the tilth of the soil by no-till, and that's the fastest way really is to do complete no-till. It's great for the soil. We've really seen a big turnaround in soil.